Hey everybody, Corey here, bringing you a review of the Civivi Aquila, or Aquila, I guess, depending on where you live in the world. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I try to put out a video every week, and I try to buy at least one new knife every month. Don't tell my wife. Let's get on with the review. So some of the notable qualities, I'm not going to go through every single spec of the knife. I think that's absolutely boring, and you can go look it up whenever you buy the knife. But I want to talk about the notable stuff. So the blade steel is, if you can read that, that is VG10. I like VG10. VG10 is kind of on the upper end of the mid-level blade steels. And I think if I had to pick between VG10 and D2, I would prefer VG10 because I like to use my knives. I try to find an excuse to use my knives. And because D2 is prone to corrosion resistance, even though it holds an edge well, I'm constantly worried about making sure it's oiled and it's cleaned and all this stuff every time I use it. And that gets kind of annoying. VG10, you could use this for food prep and kind of clean it off quickly with some water. And you probably wouldn't have too much to worry about after that, as long as, you dried it. It's still steel, right? But it's just nice knowing you don't have to really worry about that stuff. The other thing that I want to note is that it has a titanium milled pocket clip. And this is actually the pocket clip that We Knife Co. puts on some of their knives. And for those of you who don't know, Civivi, that's their logo, is kind of the budget slash value brand of We Knife Co. We Knife Co. is known for putting out some really good high end stuff. So it's kind of cool to see that they're really crossing over. This is actually a knife. It's basically the budget version of one of their like $200 knives. I think it's called, and I'm not going to say what it's called because I don't even remember for sure. But basically, this is like the little brother of a $200 knife that's made with titanium scales and a better blade steel. But this is the pocket clip. And that's the We logo that they kind of put on all of their accents with the We knives. Really no complaints there. It's really nice to see any amount of titanium on a knife in this price range. So that's really cool. And then finally, it is actually running on ceramic ball bearings. We'll get to what I have to say about that in a minute. So actually, let's get to it right now. So I want to start with the bad. Because there's really not a lot of bad to talk about, and it might be unique to me. So if you've been doing any research on this knife, you might go through YouTube and see a few people talking about it, and I think Civivi passed one around for review to some of the more popular YouTube channels, and that thing, it falls shut from gravity. It is drop shuttier than any knife I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know what they did to that one before they passed it around. I don't know if they polished the bearing race or what. But I bought this knife thinking I was going to get a knife that just fell shut. And this one, I really gotta kind of shake it, even though it's on ball bearings to get it to go. I mean, you can do it, but you got to put more oomph into it than you would think by looking at the videos. So I'll just say that. Also, it's a liner lock. That's perfectly fine. I have nothing against that. However, on mine, I won't say on all of them, but on mine, this is the kind of quality, control that you might run into if this is a problem. The liner lock is extremely stiff. It is extremely hard to push over there. It's very uncomfortable because it's coupled with some very aggressive jimping on that liner lock. So when you have aggressive jimping and a very stiff lock, when you push it, look at how gnarly my thumb is from trying, to handle this thing all day long. That is rough. My dad handled this and he was like, oh my God, my thumb is already sore. But again, remember I said my action wasn't that good. I might have one that for some reason, this liner is too stiff, and that would affect the action, and it would affect everything that I just talked about. So that is my only complaint. The action on the one that I got is nowhere near as good on the drop as the ones that I've seen online. The liner lock is very stiff, and coupled with the aggressive jimping, it is just gonna chew up your thumb. That is the only bad thing I have to say about this knife. Well, okay, hold on. Pocket clip. Due to where they put the lanyard hole, The pocket clip has been sat even lower than it would normally be, and it's not a deep carry clip. So given that you could realistically only get your jeans up to about there, you're looking at about 3/4 of an inch of knife sticking out of your pocket. Now, I'm not the kind of person who really cares about how deep carry it is, but I know a lot of people are. So that might be a deal breaker for you. Me personally, I don't care, and I like gold, so I kind of like it sticking out of my pocket, but that's just me. Now let's get into the good. This knife to me is absolutely beautiful. The very first thing that drew me to this knife were the aesthetics. The black and gold with the black DLC coating on the blade, except they didn't put it on the whole blade. They left the swedge and the rest of that area like a satin finish. And then they filled in the chamfered area of the thumb hole with more black DLC. I mean, this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. I love what they did here. If you think gold is gaudy, well, boohoo, this knife's not for you because they only sell it with gold liners. So you're just going to have to deal with that. The action on the open is absolutely wonderful. I cannot get this knife to fail. If I go as light as possible, it still opens. And I've tried that like hundreds of times before the video, so just trust me on that one. Lanyard hole, I don't know how I feel about this lanyard hole because I think it's in an okay spot. Some people would say they'd rather it be hidden, or they'd rather something else be done. I kind of like it because they're showing off the gold. And I bought this knife strictly for sex appeal. Like, even if this knife had crappy ergonomics in a blade shape that I wasn't interested in, it is just so beautiful that I literally pretty much said I have to have that knife just because it looks nice. So I kind of like that the gold is showing here. I don't mind the lanyard hole there. And again, I don't care about the deep carry stuff, so it doesn't really bother me. Next thing I'll talk about, blade stock is relatively thin. I believe it's 0.13 inches. Don't quote me on that. I'll probably link to it in the description. Look at that tip. Let's get this to focus. Look at that tip. You better not shove that into anything. That's going to snap in half. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm actually saying that's a good thing, because if you use a knife the way it's intended to be used, this is a very, very thinly ground. It has a hollow grind on it. It has relatively thin blade stock, and it has this taper off to the end. This is a slicer. This is by far the best slicing knife I have ever touched. And it's totally due to the thin blade stock and the hollow grind. It is just absolutely wonderful. The ergonomics are also great. The jimping isn't that aggressive, but the jimping coupled with the fact that there's this thumb ramp here, it really just lends itself to be a very comfortable spot for you to rest your thumb. I like that. This isn't quite a forward finger choil. You can. It's a little too small for that, maybe. I don't want to be that close to a blade that is as sharp as this one is. But if you want to do that, you can. The other thing I'll say that I enjoy about this knife is it's kind of fun to fidget with. I say kind of because I prefer the drop to be a little bit better, but you can flip it open conventionally. You can do a kind of reverse flip with your thumb. You can do a slow open with the thumb stud. You can do a flip with the thumb stud. You can do the ever so popular, oh, I missed it, Spidey flick if you really want to. And if you're super edgy, you can do the reverse flip by holding the thumb hole. I do like that. Other than that, I think I've pretty much touched on everything. VG10 blade steel, looking good. Ceramic ball bearings, very nice. Titanium pocket clip, it gives you, it lets you know, it says, hey, come by my $200 brother. You like titanium. But in all seriousness, it's really cool that you get a piece of titanium in any capacity on what is basically a $60 knife. I mean, this knife is just absolutely beautiful, coupled with the fact that it's ergonomic, coupled with the fact that it has this awesome grind for slicing. I really don't think that this knife is going to disappoint you. If you've been thinking about getting it, I say just get it. They sell it in a few other colors too. And if you don't like the black DLC coating, every variation of this knife with different color handle scales also has black DLC coating or not, just depending on whatever you want. So all in all, great value at the $60 price point. I think this puts a lot of other knives in the $100 price point to shame. I've seen a lot of people compare this to the PM2, and they are fundamentally different knives, but they're about the same size, and a lot of people praise the PM2 for its ergonomics and things like that. this is really good. I really like this knife. If you can get the action dialed in on the shut and you're someone who likes to fidget with it, I mean, really, it's everything I've said. It's basically perfect, except for mine happens to have an action that I'm not super satisfied with on the close. But other than that, totally recommend this knife. Hope you guys got something out of this. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. I don't have a ton of subscribers, so I'm pretty good about answering anybody who's in the comments. But oh, and by the way, real quick, it comes with one of these carrying cases, and it's actually kind of nice. It's got like this kind of felt inside. That's not felt, but you get the idea. It's fuzzy, it's nice, and a cleaning cloth as well. So just a something little extra if you need a place to store your knives. But that's all I got. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.